Sunday blessings, gorgeous soul. Sunday blessings from a beautiful, sunny Oxfordshire, UK. I thought I would jump on here today and film a little video with you whilst I'm enjoying my morning coffee. I thought it would be really nice actually to film a much anticipated topic, which I'll get onto in a minute, but film it when I'm really in this relaxed, rested state so that it doesn't feel like I'm doing this as a job. I mean, it doesn't feel like that anyway when I'm creating content because I love what I do, but it feels nice to just be mixing it up a little bit and just seeing where this flows. So this is an episode of Coffee Shop Chats. Those of you that have been here for a while, you know the drill. This is our cozy, candid, intimate chat, as though we are sitting opposite from one another in a coffee shop, and I invite you to grab your favourite beverage, whether that's hot or cold, it's your choice, and join me here as we dive deep into a topic. And I'll cheers you with my beautiful cat mug. Definitely my favourite mug. I do have my black cat mug, but this one is just so big. It's so good for a big coffee. And today I am honouring many requests that I've had to film a video about what I eat in a day. And I will be sharing with you generally what I eat in a day, although obviously it's not the same every day. Just close that. Generally speaking, I can share with you what I eat in a day. And thank you everyone. Thank you for requesting this, because what we eat and what we fuel our body is so important. A part of my journey, my spiritual journey and my healing journey, food was the first thing that I changed, and food has been this constant journey of evolving and expanding. And when I consistently eat foods that aren't in alignment with serving my highest and best good, I feel my vibration lower and my energy shift, amongst many other things. There's health concerns that I'm going to go into, and those who know me, you'll know me, that I find it difficult to talk about anything without going deep and getting into the juicy details of everything. So I will be getting to what I eat in a day. But I wanted to share, first of all, a little bit about my story and my journey with food and with health, because, you know, we can share things, but often they're out of context. So just to help you get a bit of an understanding about my journey, my life journey, my health journey, my journey with food, because my journey with food has actually really changed over the years. And I think that's an important thing to recognize, that you might find something that really works for you for like 5-10 years, and then all of a sudden you can change, and you might need something else to up-level you or to adapt with how your own body is shifting and changing. So adapting that fluidity and adaptability around what we eat as well, that has been something that has played an important role in my life and choosing what's best for me and discovering what's best for me rather than what I'm told is best for me. And yeah, we'll go into that. And also I wanted to create this video. Obviously my number one is to share with you, to hopefully either entertain, inspire, or educate you. That's my heart-centered intention for this video. But also I want to just celebrate my own transformation. you'll see on the thumbnail of this video my body transformation, and that has been, so today is Sunday the 12th of July, and so it's been since, I would say, around the 20th of April, because it was after my birthday that I really started taking my health seriously and decided to make this big shift. So that's May, June, July, 3 months, less than 3 months. I have literally built the body of my dreams. I thought it had been longer than that, but in reality it's only been 3 months. So I want to celebrate that and share with you the mindset around that, and everything that I've gone through to hopefully help you recognize if that's something that you want to do for yourself, and how to go about even starting a journey like that. Let me just change the angle of this a little bit. I'm not that happy with it. All right, there we go. So, where do I even begin? Where do I begin? So, first of all, I'm going to share a little bit about my story and my journey with my health and with my food. Not for sympathy, it's just really for transparency and honesty. And what I do want to share is that I often receive this untrue outside perception of me. And this has been, a lot of my adult life. I've had people having this quick judgment saying, oh, you're just so lucky, you're so privileged because you're young and you're healthy. And people look at me and think, oh, she's this white woman from England, obviously has money, obviously has lived this pampered life, she's well spoken, so she must have been, really taken care of in her life, and she's got all of these advantages. She's just blessed to have good health. She's confident. I've also had this really weird thing where people have said to me, oh, you're so privileged that you've got an open mind, or like, you're so privileged that you see the world differently. And that makes me laugh, because realizing now that yes, I do have a multidimensional mind, call it neurodivergent if you like, which is, it's a blessing. It's not a privilege, it's a blessing. But also, with that comes a lot of misunderstanding. So yes, I do have a mind that perceives the world in perhaps a more expanded or colourful version than what is the accepted societal norm. But yeah, what comes with that is a lot of misunderstanding and difficulty communicating with other people. So, a lot of people are quick to pass judgment because they don't want to believe that they are capable of transforming themselves. And I have to say, transformation is one of my superpowers, because I choose to transform. I choose to alchemize pain and hardship into a positive. So, yeah, I wanted to say that first and foremost. And it's just hilarious, really, because if you know my background, like, I'm an only child from a single parent, from a dad who has never given a penny of financial aid or emotional or energetic support whatsoever in my life or in my mum's life. And my grandma lives in a caravan, and she's lived in like assisted living in caravans her whole life. I've lived on council estates. I've watched my mum go through the struggles of being a single mum on her own, you know, and still choosing to make the most of life. And that's all I'm going to say about my personal life. But I'm definitely not coming from a place of privilege. I'm so grateful for my life. So grateful for every part of it and all of the lessons and blessings it has provided me with. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing that has been handed to me on a plate. And in terms of my health, that has been a whole nother story. And it's all connected to my food journey. So when I was younger, I suffered really badly with eczema and asthma. So I couldn't breathe. I struggled, like even going on long walks. And I had serious issues with anxiety, depression on and off through my teenage years. And I mean like serious depression where I wouldn't go out and I would just eat my emotions. I had chronic clinical acne from age 13 until about 17. Just put on medication after medication after medication that didn't get to the root cause of the inflammation and also hormonal imbalance, and also just this like absolutely festering shyness and self-hatred that came around that. And then there is the hypermobility. So I am abnormally flexible, which funnily enough means that like if I'm not moving my body, if I'm not exercising all the time, I can get like chronic pain and stiffness in my body. I have like stiff aching joints, often in my wrists because I've got quite small bones in my wrists. I used to have it in my knees, like chronic pain in my knees. So I have to manage that risk of inflammation. So I am, a lot of the time managing chronic pain, a lot of the time managing my mental health, which is in a really good place now. But it's been a whole journey, a whole journey to get to where I am now, which is at 36 years is absolutely 1,000,000% the best I've ever felt in my entire life. And food is the one constant that has supported me throughout, other than yoga, but that is an embodiment practice. Those two things, what I consume and my yoga practice, because yoga is not just movement, yoga is breathing, yoga is mindfulness, yoga is being in the body, yoga is how you treat yourself, yoga is how you treat others. So there's a whole weaving in your subconscious with embodied practices. But food has been that ship that has just helped me to navigate through all of these struggles, all of them. So, I wish I had known what I know. I wish I had known what I know now when I was a teenager, when I was dealing with the hormonal acne and then depression and anxiety from being on medication and just being so up and down, because that is all hormonal. And inflammation has a lot to answer for. And I truly believe that I could have overcome the acne through knowing what I know now about food and about inflammation. And it was the same with the asthma and the eczema. that naturally cured itself as I got older and I started taking my life into my hands. I also, in my early 20s, was suffering from chronic fatigue to the point where, like, an hour after I woke up in the morning, my eyes would be so heavy to the point that I couldn't even do things, and I just had no motivation. So it's a lot. And so the first part of my food journey was becoming plant-based. I was about 24, so this was like 12 years ago. I had a friend who was vegetarian, and she was just like super slim and healthy and lovely, and she was just like, she never told me that I should try it, but I just felt inspired by her. And I just thought, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to stop eating meat for a while and just see how it feels. And I felt so good after a month, energetically, that I was like, I'm just going to go all out and go vegan with like no research whatsoever. I was just like super excited because for the first time ever in my life, I had made a decision to change something in my life, and it had such a huge positive impact on how I felt. And then I read a book called The Food Revolution, which I will mention in the comments to this if anyone wants to read it. It's pretty hardcore, but if you really want to be opened up to the horrors of the food industry in the Western world, so that's mainly like in America and the UK, it will really open your eyes into how animals are treated and all of the hormones and chemicals that are given to both animals and crops that we then consume, and our human bodies aren't adept to actually transmuting those. So all of those chemicals and those hormones play havoc on our system. So that woke me the fuck up, to be honest. So I really started caring about where my food came from. It put me off eating takeaways so much. So, okay, let me backtrack a bit. So before I made this decision to become veggie and to become vegan, I was probably eating takeaways or fast foods like McDonald's and Burger King probably at least 3 to 4 times a week. So I would rarely be cooking. For breakfasts, I would be having like bacon and egg on toast. I haven't eaten pork, by the way, for since then, 12, 13 years. I would never, ever, ever eat pork now. And just eating a lot of like granola, and really like high sugar things. I was addicted to dairy milk chocolate, which is just like the shittiest, unhealthiest chocolate in the UK, from a really unethical source. So I was just really unconscious of what I was eating a lot of red meat, like spaghetti bolognese, steaks, just like basically just eating whatever, and just eating a lot of takeaways, like takeaway pizzas and all of the stuff. And so when I became vegan, it wasn't so much like the veganism, I feel, that made the biggest difference. But what happened was, because it was about 12 years ago, veganism wasn't very popular, not like it is now. It's a bit crazy now. I had to learn how to cook for myself and learn how to cook beautiful, healthy food that was plant-based, so based around vegetables and fruits and healthy grains and legumes. So I went from eating takeaways and fast foods 3 to 4 times a week to only consuming home-cooked food. So I how I felt was just like, I'll never forget that journey, because that journey changed my life. My whole relationship to food changed. I started loving food and appreciating food because I was creating what I was consuming. So it was really magical. And I lost shed loads of weight. I actually became a bit too skinny when I was vegan, but I lost tons of weight. I had all of this newfound energy, so I was hammering it at the gym, going to yoga all the time, just had this brand new lease of life. Like, I felt freaking incredible. And that was really the huge beginning of my spiritual awakening, because I recognized that I had the power to truly change myself. And that started giving me confidence, because I was like, for 24 years of my life, I've had all of these health concerns, and no one has been able to help me significantly or successfully. And I have just made the choice to change how I eat. And everything about me has changed and transformed. So that was the beginning. That was the beginning of my journey, and I stayed vegan. So that was 2014. Yeah, 2014. I get so confused when it comes to dates. So I stayed vegan until 2021. So how long is that? 7 years. 7 years. What I found was, throughout that journey with being vegan, I was still eating a lot of things like bread and rice and quite filling, stodgy foods, and eventually more processed things, so like veggie sausages and loads of tofu. I do actually like tofu, but more kind of processed things. And I was be doing a lot of vegan baking, so I would still be consuming a lot of sugar. And towards like the last couple of years of being fully plant-based, I started not feeling that good in my health. I actually started getting IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, a lot of bloating, the fatigue came back, so lack of energy, lack of motivation. I was getting like cystitis quite a lot. What else was I experiencing? Weight gain too. I did actually start putting on weight. And yeah, I just wasn't feeling as good as I was when I started. And this is why I always encourage people to just keep assessing. Like, there is always room for improvement. Always. And for a long time, I had to stop drinking coffee. I couldn't stop drinking coffee because I had to stop drinking coffee. I couldn't drink coffee because my nervous system was so shot that if I drank coffee, it would make me feel anxious and paranoid. Well, the coffee wasn't doing that, but the coffee and the caffeine was exacerbating these unexpressed feelings within me. I had to stop for years, probably like 2-3 years. I stopped drinking coffee. And now I drink coffee once a day, and I just love it, and I enjoy every morsel of the taste. I've actually found that as a neurodivergent person, having that one coffee really helps my brain to turn on and puts me in that focus. But it's just all about changing and adapting and healing. Change, adapt, heal. Change, adapt, heal. Rinse and repeat. If you're someone that is struggling with insomnia, you probably want to cut out caffeine for a while. Like there's just so many things. So it's not the be all and end all. What we eat and what we consume is the same as our growth journey and our healing journey. It's forever evolving, forever expanding, and forever blooming. And that's why whatever I share with you in this video, like, I don't want you to think like Chloe's formula is going to work for me. It might do. There's a few things that I have been sharing and that I will share that are absolutely going to help you in certain areas of your life. But there are some things that work for some people and some things that don't work for others. So I just want to put that out there. Like, I have always used myself as a guinea pig so that I have first-hand experience of whatever I share. I would never share something that I'd heard or learned if I hadn't put it to practice myself and felt that it was both effective and safe to share with you. And that's what embodied learning is and embodied teaching is. So we're in about 2021. As I've also shared publicly on my page, 2021 to last year, I was in a relationship, and I wasn't happy in that relationship. So it's a bit of a grey area with the food that I was eating. It was very up and down. Like, I would go through healthy phases and then I'd just sort of have no idea what I was doing. I'd be drinking and then being like sober, and it was just all over the place. And there was times when I was like really underweight and then times when I was a bit overweight. So all of the, like, my plant-based journey ended partly because I was in a relationship with someone who ate meat, and there was something within me that was like, I'm just going to be a bit more open-minded and see how it makes me feel. It didn't make me feel good eating meat at the time, but I just became a bit less rigid with what I was consuming, but almost to the point where I just threw all of my morals out the window for about 3 years. So this takes us to last year. Broke up, kind of came back into myself, and I was like, I do feel better and at my best when I base what I eat around fruits and vegetables and whole foods. Like, that is definitely my sweet spot. But what I found last year was I was definitely eating to comfort myself emotionally and get through the breakup. And I was telling myself this story of like, I'm so active, I'm working out all the time, doing all this stuff. And in hindsight, I actually wasn't. I wasn't at all compared to what I'm doing now. I wasn't, but I just had this sort of wounded story telling myself that I could overeat, basically, and it was okay. And then I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was probably about March this year, I went to a pole dancing class. And so for pole dancing, you have to wear, really small shorts because you have to grip, and again, like a small top, so your body is very exposed. And I remember looking in the mirror and I was shocked. Like, I didn't even want to look at my body because I was just like, how have I let myself get like this? This isn't me. This isn't the body I choose. I was like, I wasn't happy with it. And now obviously I'm sharing this with caution because, body image and loving ourselves comes from within. Absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters how you feel. But me, personally, on my journey, I feel great when I feel like I am feeding myself food that makes me strong, okay? And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't look strong. My body looked heavy and bloated and inflamed, and it shocked me. So I made a decision then, I'm going to change this. I am going to lose fat and gain muscle. That was my goal. That was my goal. And I'd never done that before. Okay, in my life, like I've mentioned this as well, like I've always done cleanses for many, many years now. I've done cleanses, water fasting. I've done diets before in the past to lose weight, and I think diets are bullshit. It's all about lifestyle, loving yourself lifestyle, that's what I'd call it. But this was the first time I had looked at myself and said, no, I'm going to build a new body. And like, I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't think it was possible. And this is when it's crazy how deep our programming is, because my whole life, I've always been under this impression like, oh, I'm naturally curvy. Beautiful blessing as a woman to be curvy. However, you know, with curves comes weight, and you know, it's I've always had this story like, oh, it's really difficult for me to be slim. Bullshit. Everything is a story. I've had this story like, oh, because I'm curvy, I can't get muscle definition because I've got like fat on my arms and on my hips. And like, I'm just being totally honest with you with these stories. Like, these stories in my head were stopping me from trying. The stories were stopping me from even trying. A story of like, oh, you know, I'm curvy, so I'm always going to have like fat and cellulite on my thighs. Story! all of the things, like, because I'm curvy, I can never look slim. It's all rubbish, you know? And it was the first time in my life that I really realised it, that it's all stories, and our stories, whether that be from our childhood, from cultural or media influence, or from other programming, it is all bullshit. Yes, we are all built with totally different builds. We have different length limbs, different length bodies. Some of us are bigger or wider or slimmer, but it's not the be all or end all. It is beautiful, but we all have a choice to not let that identity and that story stop us from building the version of ourselves that we wish to embody. Like, I just have this image of myself as like a warrior princess, okay? And what is a warrior princess? She is toned and strong and has muscle definition and can run and can hold a shield and a sword, right? So in my mind, I have a vision of what that body looks like. And I feel my best when I'm embodying that, okay? So, and why I'm sharing this is because it's like, what is your intention? Because if we are trying to lose weight because we feel ugly, we're never going to lose weight. That's what I found. And for me, it was shifting this mindset of seeing myself in the mirror and being like, that is not Chloe the warrior princess. That is not her. Chloe the warrior princess is waiting. to be embodied. So I started on this brand new, unknown journey to me. My intentions was to embody this strong, toned, badass warrior version of me. And also along with that, like having more energy, more endurance for physical exercise, just becoming fitter and healthier generally. To lose fat and build muscle so that my body has more definition, like in my arms. I mean, look at that. Like, I'll just show you the shape in my arms. I have never had that before in my life because I've always had this story of I've got fat arms. Crazy. So to have definition, so those have been my intentions, but also I also wanted to have more mental clarity. So this hasn't all been physical for me. It's been mental clarity, strength, endurance, really stepping into the best version of myself that I've ever been before in my life. And yeah, I went down this journey of researching how to lose fat and gain muscle. Something just within me told me that that was the right thing to do. And that has got me to where I am now. It's been that journey. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you, with how I've got here, what I eat in a day. Yeah, sorry it's taken me this long to get here, but it's important to share the journey and like how long it takes and what it takes, and that it's important to make a decision of choice. And what is scary about transformation, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, relationship, financial or otherwise, is that we have to be really brutally honest with ourselves, you know, like brutally honest. And it's funny because I have as a side effect, I've lost a lot of weight doing this, which is strange, I find, because muscle is heavy, but I've lost weight. And my mum said to me, she's like, I didn't want to say anything, but I was concerned because last year you were eating a lot. And I was like, damn, like I wasn't even aware of that at the time. But upon reflection, I've realized I was revolving what I ate around comfort foods. So that would be like mashed potato and pasta and bread, all the inflammatory foods, sugar. So we're going to get onto that in a minute. So it was just being totally honest with myself and recognizing, like, yeah, if I could choose one favorite food in the world, it would be an authentic Italian pizza. Do I want to eat that every day? No, I don't. It's so much more enjoyable to eat the foods that we love as a treat. So again, it's just deprogramming the mind of being like, okay, I can eat all of these foods I love all the time and you know, probably cheap, affordable versions of them. Or I can eat super healthy, take care of my body, and then look forward to this amazing treat once a month. It's a mindset flip. And also, like, what I eat now, I don't see it as restrictive. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I feel satisfied. I feel like I'm eating loads, but just because I've changed what I eat, so I can actually eat more, but it's eating a lot less of inflammatory and weight gaining foods in reality. So let's get into it. So what I did in April, because that was when I made the decision, like, I am going to do whatever it takes to transform the way that I look and feel, to become strong and toned. I looked up lots of YouTube videos. YouTube school is the best. And that's why I'm here to share what I've learned. I looked up how to lose fat and gain muscle. And there was like 2 simple formulas that I'm going to share with you that I've stuck with and I have got results. So the first one is counting calories. And I've downloaded this amazing app. I'm going to tell you the name of it. Obviously, I'm in the UK, so apologies if you're in another country and you can't get this, but I'm sure there's other ones. So it's called Nutracheck, Nutracheck, Nutracheck. I don't know if you can see this. Oh no, you can't see because of the screen. So basically, like, I downloaded this app and it asks you like how much you weigh, what your goal is, and then it gives you this plan. So for me, it gave me a 3-month plan, and it said, okay, you should eat 1,200 calories a day. And it has this amazing thing on the front screen where you click on breakfast and it already has programmed into it all of like supermarket foods, all vegetables, everything. So you type it in and you type the weight of it and it knows the calories. So it's just so handy. And at first it was a bit like, oh my gosh, it's really overwhelming having to input everything that I eat into this app, but then you can save meals to make it quicker. But what was so interesting, slightly triggering, really interesting about doing this exercise is recognizing like some of the foods that I was eating, how high in calories they are. And calories are our energy. So if we're eating more energy than we're burning, all of that energy is going to store in our bodies, and it's not going to be used as fuel. So it was 1,200 calories a day, but that is a day with no exercise. So then, if I went out for like an hour and a half walk, that's about 350 calories. You can put that into the app. So I stuck to that first and foremost. And then you start realizing like, oh my goddess, it's not even worth having bread because bread is so many calories and I can have like a bowl of vegetables oven roasted this big for the same as like a couple of slices of sourdough. So again, it changed my relationship to food because I realized like, whoa, I can eat so many vegetables and fruits and that is high vibrational, alkaline, energy giving food. So I've been like, I can feast on food. So I've been sticking to that religiously. However, I would say in the first 6 weeks, I probably had 2 days where I completely broke it. Like I either went out for dinner or I was premenstrual and I was like, I need to eat like 10 cookies. But what I allowed myself to do is rather than put those calories in and like punish myself for having 2,000 calories over, I just said, today I'm going to just write it off and tomorrow's a new day. So today I'm going to indulge in whatever the fuck I want to eat. Body, what do you want today? And then tomorrow, start fresh, go back into it. Because there's this kind of golden rule that as long as you go back into it, it's fine. Like it's the majority. And that is what it's all about when changing our relationship to food and to exercise and to lifestyle. It's about very slowly building a habit so that eventually the good habits outweigh the bad habits and we naturally start leaning towards the more healthy habits naturally without effort. And that's what this is about. So now it's like I actually miss the days. If I have like a cheat day, I get really excited to go back to my like calorie counting because we sort of, it puts us in this beautiful routine of being like, oh, I'm really taking care of my body, and I'm not overeating, but I'm also eating all of the right foods. So that's what I did, stuck to that. I also learned, even though I already knew this, but I learned about the importance of walking to lose weight. Because walking is just like the best thing in the world for health, mental health, physical health. But walking gets the body moving. So walking supports your metabolism. But not only does walking support your physical health, walking opens up your mind. So walking supports your consciousness, it supports your mental health, it gets you out of the four walls of the prison of your home, of your office, your workspace. And it just supports you, it supports your joints, it supports everything. And with walking, I know a lot of people struggle with walking because they get out of breath or they get joint pains. Start small, start with 10 minutes. Next week, 20 minutes. Next week, 30 minutes. Slow and steady. But walking is so important. It's so important. And you get to be in nature too. So I started weaving walking more into my day. And, if there was a day when I didn't do exercise, I would make sure that I went out for a walk. But also, a lot of the time, I'd just wake up in the morning, do my morning routine, go out for a walk, start my day that way, get the body moving and flowing. Finished my coffee. Now I need water. So that's the first thing I did. Second thing is I realised that I was basing what I ate around carbs. So I've switched that to base what I eat around protein. And that has been the biggest game changer for my mind, actually. Like, anyone who has ADHD or even just any struggle with concentration, like, basing what you eat around protein, I believe, is a game changer, and also for your energy levels too. So changing my meals to be based around protein. So every meal focusing on protein rather than carbs. When I say carbs, I'm talking about rice, pasta, bread. Those are high calorie, high inflammatory, high sugar foods. People don't realize that white carbohydrate actually changes into glucose in your body. And another thing I've done is cut out sugar. And I know you're going to be like, yeah, but Chloe, I saw you eating a banoffee pie yesterday. Yes, that was a treat day. But I have stopped consuming all sugar in my daily lifestyle. So if I want like sweetness in my coffee, I have monk fruit. I use monk fruit sweetener. It's, as far as I'm aware, it is the healthiest sweetener out there. It's 0 calories too. And it doesn't have that weird chemically aftertaste that a lot of the sweeteners do. So that's, you can just look it up. It's called monk fruit. Tastes good. It's really sweet, actually. So no sugar and very, very minimal carbohydrates and a lot of protein. So I'm having like at least 100 grams of protein today, usually about 120, 130. And that is still a predominantly plant-based lifestyle. However, now I do eat eggs, I eat fish. I'm not eating red meat and I'm not eating chicken, unless it's just like a really, really rare occasion. But what I have been adding into my diet is beef broth and chicken broth. And this is from organic grass-fed animals. Very, very important, so that you don't get the hormones and you don't get the pesticides in the food. And that's been a really lovely addition, because it's not eating the sort of the density of the meat, but you get all of the goodness from the bones. And I felt a huge difference in having that. And what I do is you just boil it up, and then you can even just use it as like a salad dressing, or with vegetables. It's like a stock. It's delicious. So I will finally get to what I eat in a day. So breakfast is my favourite meal of the day. I just love breakfast. I cherish breakfast. And I'm definitely a sweet person, so I found this like sweet spot for my breakfast. And since I discovered this breakfast, I've probably had it every day for about 3 months. I absolutely love it. It is delicious. It is sweet. It tastes like a dessert. It's packed full of protein. It's satisfying. It's just the best. It's just the best. So for my breakfast, I have 35 grams of steel cut oats, organic oats. Organic is important as well, because it's less pesticides. I don't want to say no pesticides, but it's less pesticides, less chemicals. Eat organic as much as possible. If you can't eat organic, make sure you soak everything with baking soda. 35 grams of oats, half a grated zucchini, 100 mils of coconut milk, 100 mils of water, and then I put a load of frozen berries in there, usually blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, like a huge pile, about 100 grams. Then I heat that up for about a minute so that all the frozen berries melt. I put a big scoop of vegan Gain chocolate protein powder in there, and then I put 12 grams of powdered peanut butter. I'll tell you why in a minute, because I love peanut butter. Mix that in. Oh, and chia seeds and flax seeds. 2 teaspoons of chia seeds, a teaspoon of flax seeds, so that you get the fibre in there as well. And that is quite a high calorie breakfast. I think it comes to like 400 or 500 calories for that. But I like a big, satisfying breakfast. And then you mix that all up, and it's like a chocolate pudding. It's so good. And you, with the protein powder, the peanut butter powder, you're getting a lot of protein in the morning, and that's important so that you feel satiated, satisfied and strong. So I eat that every single morning, and as soon as I wake up in the morning, I drink a full one of these glasses of water. That's the first thing I drink in the morning. I take 5 cracked cell wall chlorella tablets, and that's probably about an hour to an hour and a half before I have breakfast, because in the morning I do some journaling, I do a meditation, and then I usually go for a walk, do some yoga or some training, all before I've had breakfast. I really like working out on an empty stomach. So then I have my breakfast. After that I have a coffee. So that's my morning. So to compare with what I was having before, for breakfasts, I would have, back when I was plant-based, it would be like really chemically gross plant-based yogurt, probably full of sugar, full of chemicals, or I would be having Greek yogurt and like probably like half a tub in there. Fruits, loads of fruits, and a shit ton of nuts or peanut butter. Now, if you want to lose fat, you may want to seriously cut down on your intake of nuts. 2 walnuts are something like 80 calories. That was something that shocked me, like with nuts. Like, nuts are so good for you, but literally just having like 2 of each is more than enough, and they are incredibly high in calorie. So good for you, and it's really important to have healthy fats in your diet. But I would say, like, if you are trying to lose fat and lose weight, be really mindful about nuts. And with the peanut powder, the fat has been removed, or most of the fat has been removed. So you're still getting the protein and the flavour. So that's why I add that into the breakfast. So that's breakfast. Generally, and this is usually the same for lunch, because I'm just like, you know, if I can eat 3 meals a day and still lose fat and gain muscle, I absolutely will. So what I usually eat now for lunch will be an apple, a whole apple, and I will make an omelette and put like peppers, mushroom, loads of spinach in there. So it'll be 2 or 3 eggs in an omelette, nice and plain. Yeah, and eat that. Amazing lunch. Again, it's high protein. So what I find with eating high protein and low carb, and I'll compare the difference. Say if I had like 2 slices of sourdough with scrambled egg, I'd feel full quickly, like instantly, and then I'd feel hungry like an hour later. Whereas when I eat just an omelette with an apple and with vegetables, I don't feel satisfied straight away, but within half an hour to an hour, I feel really good. I feel satisfied, but not in that like sluggish, lethargic, full way like I did last night after eating a pizza. But it was so worth it because it was a really nice treat. So that would be a lunch. If I want like an afternoon treat or a pick-me-up, I eat very dark chocolate, so anything between 90% to 100% dark chocolate. I think anything over 85% dark chocolate is really good for you. So I always stick to that because it has a lot less sugar in it. It's a lot more rich as well, so you feel satisfied more. So I'll have like a couple of squares of that. That's about like 80 calories, so that's not bad for a snack, and that gives you a little bit of energy as well. It's got like potassium, calcium, iron, all the good stuff in, minimal sugar, so you don't get the crash. So that'll be a snack. Dinners, what I tend to have as a dinner, I absolutely love tuna steaks. I don't know why, I just love them, like fresh tuna. So I'll have a tuna steak, I'll fry it with some garlic, and then I will just make this giant salad bowl with oven roasted squash, because squash is like as satisfying as a sweet potato, super low calorie, full of so many beautiful vitamins because it's that bright orange colour. You can have like half a squash and it's like no calories. Again, I'm using the app to track everything. Make this huge salad bowl, fill it with peppers, lettuce, obviously the squash, cucumber. So again, it's all of these life-giving foods, and then I'll do like half a packet, so about 100 grams of beans, so either lentils, chickpeas or black beans, and the tuna steak. Put that on top, and then I'll make a dressing with like a spoonful, it's about that much, of Greek yogurt, fresh lemon juice, mustard. Sometimes I put the beef or the chicken broth in there as well to just give it that like meatiness. And yeah, you've got this huge, and I'm talking like a bowl this big. And that would be like less than 500 calories. So it's amazing how much you can eat when you know what you're eating. And what I've really loved about this journey is learning. It's really empowering when we are like, oh, actually, I'm not going to eat that because now I know, how high in calorie it is, or how high in sugar it is, or that it's chemically produced. So I eat 0 processed foods. I don't eat takeaways. I make everything myself. I go for simplicity over anything. And it's amazing how you can make really simple food taste good by switching up a few herbs or sauces. Like, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can do this simply, like bulk buying chickpeas and lentils, eggs. Yes, eggs are more expensive than I'd like them to be, but they are a superfood and super satisfying. Oats are cheap. Frozen fruits you can get pretty cheaply. This isn't a privileged way of eating whatsoever. And then in the evening, like after dinner, I try, although with my like work schedule and my lifestyle, it's quite difficult for me to eat at the same time every day. I try to not eat after 7 p.m. However, if I do want a snack, I'll just make sure it's fruits. Dates are my go-to sweet treat because they are superfoods. They are nature's candy. They taste like caramel. They're just blissful. Love a date. You can even just put like an almond or a Brazil nut in a date and you've got this really satisfying treat that is sugar-free. And you're just going to feel like you've had a sweetie after it. So that's what I eat in a day. So yeah, it's mainly just my dinners that change, but you could switch up. You know what I said, what I eat for lunch, like you could also have eggs. You can have an omelette for breakfast. Eating eggs for breakfast are really good for you. I've just found that I really enjoy this food that I eat. So for me, it's actually just easier to eat the same things. The only thing that changes really is my dinners. I switch up the vegetables. I switch up the proteins. I do sometimes have tofu as well. Yeah, and I feel great. I feel lighter in every dimension of my being, but I also feel stronger. Definitely in the beginning, when I was sticking to, the calorie restriction, I did feel hungry. Definitely recognize that, and I'm not going to pretend that I didn't. But now I don't. And oftentimes when we're hungry, we're actually just dehydrated. So I always make sure that, if I'm feeling hungry or like I want to eat, down a glass of water first and then say, okay, could I just have an apple or like a carrot? Would that satisfy me? And if the cravings do come, it's always a good practice to check in and say, is this because my body is genuinely needing something that it's not getting, or is this something emotional? Something emotional that's coming up, and that's another honest conversation to have with ourselves. Are we eating to hide something, to comfort ourselves? Food is so important, and unfortunately, the world that we live in is not supporting our health through our food. Fast food is celebrated. Even pharmaceutical medicine is celebrated, when in actuality, this is just my own belief system, but I have proved this to myself through my own actions and own experiences, that lifestyle through food and exercise and mindset and shifting beliefs is the best medicine, the most powerful medicine. It takes time. It takes dedication, it takes consistency, it takes compassion, but it's long lasting. It's long lasting. Look at my skin. You would never know. Yes, okay, I have some little bit of big pores, but other than that, you would never know that I had acne for years of my life. You would never think that I had asthma. You know, I go for 10K runs once a week. I go for long walks 3 to 4 times a week. I teach multiple yoga classes. I do pole dancing. You know, I teach breath work. So you would never know that I had asthma. You'd never know that I had eczema. With the amount of physical challenges that I embrace, you would never know that I'm hypermobile, which causes chronic pain and inflammation in my body. I would like to think that from an outside perspective, you'd never know that most of my adult life I was struggling with panic attacks, anxiety, and depression. All of those things I have overcome through choosing to take charge of my lifestyle, trying things, seeing what feels best for me, learning from others, taking things, trying it on myself. That is, I keep coming back to this embodied wisdom. It's all about breaking free from the fears and the programs and the beliefs and those stories of like, I can't do it, I was born this way, like breaking free from all of that and saying, no, do you know what? I am going to be a warrior princess. Whatever it frickin' takes, I am going to get there. I'm going to get there. If I can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. So this has already been a long old chit chat. I really hope that you've enjoyed this with me today. It's such a deep and complicated topic to go into. I'm in my mind, I'm already like, oh, there's so much more I could dive into, and there's so much I've missed, and it's like, how do I help people to feel great? Because that's truly what I want. So if there's anything that you want to know more about, please drop it in the comments. Let me know how I can best serve you. Let me know if you enjoyed learning about this. Yeah, and where you're at on your journey, your health journey, your food journey, your self-love journey. Let me know how I can support you. And if you do enjoy this and you really feel like you need more support, more inspiration, and more in-depth education, my 8-week Embody Your Magic training course could be the perfect space for you. So it's an 8-week small group training course with weekly live training calls, but you also get a whole self-paced online course which supports the online calls but goes into much more depth. It is a whole journey of healing from the mind to the body and the mind-body connection into like our spiritual selves, going deep into our emotions, then a little bit deeper into the more shadowy side, then coming into our personal power, and finally making our way into our hearts. So it is going to be covering in those 8 weeks a huge multi-dimension of our healing journey as humans, but also as spiritual beings having a human experience. And we will be going deep into the mind, into mental health, also into the body, the food we eat, physical health, and so on and so forth. So if you felt inspired by this video today, it could be so perfect for you. There's only 5 spaces left, so it's filling up, and it's a small group. So if it is something that you're interested in, please do check it out. I'll pop the link up here, and it's mystichearts.org/training. Nice and simple. Check it out. If you have any questions, you can always email me as well. Email address is on my channel, but you'll also find that on my website. Yeah, so Sunday blessings, and I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you soon.